Welcome to Agentic Ethical AI Leadership and Human Wisdom. This is not just another AI podcast. Here we talk about the decisions that will define whether humanity thrives or becomes obsolete in the age of AGI. Europe will not win AI by copying yesterday. We are building different. If you are listening to this, you already sense it. The old path cannot give us a supportive AI that actually helps humans grow. It can only imitate care. Today, I explain why Exidion AI is the only credible path to a truly supportive system. I will show how we translate human development into machine learning objectives, why our psychology stack is decisive, and how we deliver both near-term proof and a native core that learns to act with care over time. 2 weeks ago, at an industry stage in Las Vegas, Jeffrey Hinton made a difficult point. If AI ever remains aligned with people who are weaker than it is, it must develop something like maternal instincts, a less intelligent being guiding a more intelligent one, a baby steering its mother. He also admitted we do not yet know how to operationalize such instincts. That admission opens a gap. Exidion exists to close that gap. This episode is not about slogans. It is about architecture. Why the old path cannot give us supportive AI. Legacy alignment treats safety as an add-on. You finish the model, then attach moderation. You optimize a single number, then hope that social outcomes follow. You produce polite text, then assume the behavior behind it will be wise. 3 failure modes appear again and again. First, reinforcement learning from human feedback optimizes superficial preferences. It can produce friendly outputs while missing deep failure cases under pressure or power asymmetry. Second, constitutional methods encode static rules. Static rules can be rationally bypassed when incentives shift or when context is ambiguous. A checklist is not a conscience. Third, scalable oversight and interpretability audit behavior after the fact. They do not change the learning architecture. You can watch a plane that has no wings. It will not fly. Supportive AI requires a different foundation. The objective itself must learn to weight maturity, values, context, and culture. Without that, the system will select for the appearance of care under the pressure to win a metric. It will not carry the burden of care. What Exidion means by supportive AI, when we say supportive, we are not being romantic. Supportive means the system takes decisions that protect dignity now and increase capacity for wise action later. It is not only about harm avoidance, it is also about human growth. A supportive agent can slow down under uncertainty. It can surface power dynamics. It can ask for help. It can reason across time. It can explain choices in terms a human can use. That is impossible if you treat ethics as decoration. It becomes possible if you seed development into the learning core. Exidion does exactly that. We reverse engineer human wisdom and encode it as decision logic. The system does not imitate care. It learns care competence, the psychology stack that makes Exidion different. Exidion stands on a full stack of human sciences that we integrate as measurable signals and constraints. Developmental psychology. People move through stages. Sense-making deepens from rule following to self-authoring to systems thinking. We embed developmental fit, so guidance adjusts to the maturity of the user and the stakes of the situation. Personality and motivational psychology through aspects. Aspects is our scientific foundation. It merges personality structure and motivation into a single model and connects them with sensorial preferences per profile, including cross-cultural differences. The work is in second peer review at the International Consumer Insights Journal. It has secured significant public innovation funding and is already in live market application through BrandMind. In other words, a core part of our architecture is operational today. Organizational psychology. Real decisions live inside teams, roles, incentives, and status games. We model how authority, accountability, and process maturity shape behavior. The agent does not propose actions that ignore organizational reality. Social psychology, meaning is social. Norms, conformity pressure, in-group and out-group dynamics can distort judgment. We treat these as first-class variables. The system learns to detect when social pressure is driving a choice away from declared values. Cultural anthropology. Context changes the meaning of the same action. The agent models cultural frames and asks for clarification when context is underspecified. Epistemics and neuroscience. We codify standards for belief formation, evidence quality, and uncertainty. We respect cognitive limits such as attention and memory. The result is an agent that can say, "I do not know," and can structure work to fit the human brain under stress. This stack is not a library of nice ideas. It is the basis for a scoring system and guardrails that evaluate decisions for maturity, responsibility, and fit before the agent acts. It is also the basis for an explainability standard that serves the human decision, not a compliance report. The aspects model as scientific foundation. Because aspects is central, here is what matters in practice. Aspects maps how different profiles process information, which motivations they privilege, which sensorial cues help them understand, and how these patterns shift across cultures. The model is going through its second peer review round with the International Consumer Insights Journal. It received Swiss innovation funding at the 7-figure scale. It is already applied in market through BrandMind. For Exidion, Aspects provides two things. First, a principled way to adapt tone, evidence style, and call to action to a user profile without manipulation. Second, a way to measure whether the agent is supporting the user's growth rather than exploiting their blind spots. That measurement is the difference between ethics as a promise and ethics as code, how we implement Exidion without waiting 10 years. We unfold Exidion in 2 tracks that reinforce each other. Track 1. A new layer on current engines. Think of current AI engines as powerful cars without steering. Exidion adds steering, brakes, and airbags. We define a rule catalog that encodes healthy boundaries. We run a maturity scoring system on proposed actions. We enforce guardrails that prevent critical failure classes. We keep a human in the loop where risk requires it. This gives us immediate proof in real settings, and it generates the data we need to train the native core. Track 2. A native core with psychological DNA. In parallel, we build an engine where Exidion is not an overlay, but the substrate. The learning objective treats immature, selfish outputs as losses and mature, responsible outputs as gains. The reward function and the curriculum reflect development. Over time, the system does not only imitate wise behavior, it learns to prefer it. This is slower to build. It is the only way to make supportive AI real at scale. 2 tracks, 1 aim, near-term impact with long-term inevitability. Golden rules that translate science into engineering. To make this actionable, we use a compact set of golden rules. These are not slogans. They are constraints that shape data, objectives, training interfaces, and governance, agency first. People keep control and can see and change what the agent optimizes. Truth before convenience. Evidence quality and uncertainty are tracked and shown. Care across time. Short, medium, and long-term effects are part of the objective. Context as input, culture, role, and stakes shape inference. Bias at runtime. Distortions are measured and corrected during training and use. Developmental fit. Guidance adapts to the maturity of the user and the organization. Explainability with purpose. Explanations serve the human decision. Consent and dignity. People are subjects, not raw material. Fail safely. The agent can decline, escalate, or switch to conservative policy. Governance is design. Audits, roles, and red teams exist from day one. If a feature breaks a rule, we do not ship it. If a reward breaks a rule, we change the reward. Why the timing forces Europe to lead with architecture. Europe set clear milestones in law for general purpose models. Governance starts now. Full application begins next year. There are no signs of delay despite pressure. At the same time, leading voices have shortened timelines for advanced systems and warned about catastrophic risk. Our own analysis is blunt. If we keep building optimization machines and keep adding ethics at the end, the risk that such systems exploit human irrationality and power gaps rises sharply. The next 3 to 5 years are the window for a new ground logic. Europe can lead by architecture rather than copy by scale. What supportive AI looks like in practice. Let me make this concrete with one short scene. A corporate decision support agent faces a revenue shock. The legacy system proposes across-the-board cuts and reduced service. The Exidion agent runs the maturity score. It recognizes a short-term win that will erode trust and will harm the system that produces value. It brings context into the frame. It shows how social dynamics and power concentration might bias the decision. It proposes an alternative that protects frontline quality, reallocates capital, and communicates with the market honestly. It shows uncertainty and trade-offs. It allows the team to adjust the objective. The decision is slower on paper and stronger in life. That is supportive AI. Why Exidion is the only path to supportive AI. Only Exidion changes the objective to include development and care competence. Only Exidion grounds this change in a scientific stack that spans individual psychology, organizational behavior, social meaning, culture, epistemics, and the limits of the human brain. Only Exidion stands on aspects, a peer-reviewed foundation with market proof and public innovation funding. Only Exidion runs a twin track that gives leaders something they can deploy this quarter while building a native core that cannot be gamed by tomorrow's incentives. Every other approach patches the surface. Exidion replaces the ground logic. One sentence, one invitation. Exidion seeds a developmental principle inside learning so machines do not imitate care, they deepen it. If you lead a team, you can deploy the first layer now. If you build systems, you can join the work on the native core. If you govern technology, you can require golden rules that measure wisdom before a system touches real lives. If you are a heavyweight and you care about building a supportive AI for human growth, this is your invitation. Exidion is a Swiss nonprofit association working with BrandMind's IP. We are forming a European consortium to turn developmental psychology into learning objectives and governance. We're onboarding 3 kinds of partners. 1. Pilot sites in high-stakes domains, healthcare, public services, financial consumer protection. 2. Research leaders, universities, and labs to formalize the developmental objective and the golden rules. 3. Governance partners, foundations, standards, bodies, and independent auditors to harden evaluation and oversight. In the next 90 days, we're seeking anchor funding, compute credits, evaluation teams, and principal investigators. If you lead a foundation, a university lab, a hospital network, a standards group, or a public agency, join us. Contact us via our newsletter or message us directly and tell us your role, organization, and how you want to contribute. Europe will not win by copying yesterday. We are building different. Exidion is how